to know the artist behind the epic melodies, songs, and beats. Celebrating the best new music from around the world. This is the A State of Trance podcast.
Hey, what's up? My name is Ruben Ronde and welcome to another brand new A State of Trance podcast. And I'm so happy that this man is here. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Paavo Siliamaki.
It's getting better every time you say it.
I just have to keep on practicing and practicing. Welcome, Paavo. Welcome to the.
Thanks so much for having me here.
Yeah. What we're gonna do in this podcast, I want to dive a little bit into the history of yourself. How do you? And then we're gonna talk about P.O.S, the project that you're doing right now, and above and beyond, of course, some new Anjuna Beats stuff as well.
Mm-hmm.
But first, we're gonna start at the very beginning. How did you fall in love with dance music?
Well, I was always really into making music with synthesizers, and my first job was as a pianist in the theater, and then I used synths to make an actual musical, and then moved to Helsinki when I was 15, and me and my friends sneaked into a nightclub, and that was it. I was
hooked straight away.
I was done, and then Helsinki's like dance music, and it was called the techno scene at this point, was so vibrant. There were so many cool parties in forests and abandoned warehouses that we could sneak into, even though we were so young. And really, like Sven Bath was one of my idols growing up.
That's awesome. And then you moved to the UK.
Mm-hmm.
Then you met Jono.
I did, yeah. We went
university.
to the same uni, and I had my studio in my halls of residence room a year before, and when I met Jono, he had a full-blown music studio, and this one crazy night I ended up in his room, and he was playing me all the stuff he's doing, and we really hit it off straight away.
What made you move to the UK?
I really wanted to study music business because I was working as a producer in Finland, doing like pop stuff and things like that. And I felt like I was being ripped off, and I really wanted to understand how does this
contract work? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense. So you were already doing music, you were making music, and you want to know more about the business sides of things.
Absolutely. So then, I was doing my major project at university after having met Jono already. So my major project was to start a record company, and that was called Anjuna Beats.
Yeah, but before you started that, you already had a track released as Anjuna Beats, right? There was an alias, not a label first, because you started out with Jono, of course, as Dirt Devils and Free State together.
Yeah,
this was without Tony. And you made a track together as Anjuna Beats, as an alias.
Yeah, I don't know if that was ever a good idea, really. The first release on the label was by an artist called Anjuna Beats, a track called Volume 1, and then the label was called Anjuna Beats 2. Maybe a little confusing, but maybe we're trying to be over clever.
Well, it worked out. For the next bit, I have something I want you to listen to. Let's see if this works. New studio, so let's hope it works. Listen to this. And Tony was the A&R of Warner.
That's right. He was marketing.
Marketing,
director.
Yeah.
And I think Tony would have probably spoken to you, Steve, about the fact that he was doing something.
His favourite tune before that was Love Shines Through, which was in 99. He loved that record. In fact, he's the guy that kind of got it released, because I think A&R were kind of umming on about it. They didn't know whether they want to release it, and Tony said, "You've got to release this record. It's incredible."
Yeah, Jonathan Dickens was kind of
so
not sure about
he kind of pushed that through, and then after, when we said we were going to remix Home, he said, "Can I have a go at it?" I've got these other guys I'm working with now, Jono and Paavo, just met them. They were like 17 or something at the time. They were still at college. Yeah, it's mad. And he said, "Yeah, come on, crack on, have a go," because he played me some of the stuff he was doing. He was making really decent dance records already. And when the night they finished the mix, we were playing at the Glass House in London, and it was we had a residency there, and we were playing. And Tony phoned up and said, "Look, I finished the track. We're going to cut acetate, and we want to. If I bring it down tonight to the club, do you want to play it?" I said, "Yeah, sure. If it's if it's any good." Right, so kind of I was in the middle of the set, and Tony came down. There's Paavo and Jono with the only people in the club wearing ear plugs in those days, because everyone was just getting on with
something else. Yeah.
So let me have a listen to the record. Just had a listen in my headphones. Okay, intro's easy enough to mix. Let's do it. Just bung it on and just mixed it in. As soon as it came in, that breakdown, it's like, my God, this is incredible. and like almost thought, okay, time to retire really, because these guys have arrived.
They're taking over.
Yeah, so straight away, we got to release this track. And
so that was the first time an Above and Beyond record was ever played in a club?
Ever played in a nightclub. I was the first DJ ever to play one of their records.
That's nuts.
Yeah.
It is actually nuts.
I still remember that
it's
night.
It's the Space Brothers, of course. And when I found out that you were coming over, I was like, okay, I have to play this to you, because that was basically the night Above and Beyond was born.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it really was. And I can really still remember how it felt and what an exciting thing it was for us as well. Like, it's the first time we heard that thing that we've been working on in a nightclub, and we were all together there. It was incredible.
So the first time that you finish something together, you go to a club, the guys that are actually, they made original Space Brothers, fantastic producers, and the songs that they created are unparalleled, I guess. That was the birth of Above and Beyond.
It really was. And that first remix did incredibly well in the UK club charts and things like that. So
I have a
great start.
I have a couple of other vinyls here, because I'm going to flash them off for vinyl collectors. And I want you to tell a little bit about them if you can. Well, first of all, this one.
Oh my God.
This the remix that you did for What It Feels Like for a Girl from Madonna. That was, I guess, the big breakthrough of Above and Beyond, right?
That really opened a lot of doors for us. And obviously we'd always wanted to remix Madonna, and because Tony was working at Warner's and knew Madonna's manager and everything. We were listening to her new album and really like thinking like, if we could do What It Feels Like for a Girl, that would be amazing. And in the end, they said, okay, well, we can give you the parts, but like, don't expect anything. And then when we did the remix, Madonna and Guy Ritchie really liked it, wanted to put it in the music video. And I can still remember, like, Tony's on the phone with Madonna, who's like in LA in the studio, like editing the video. And we're trying to like, at the same time, we're like work on this special version of the remix for the video and everything. And then just to make it even more crazy, when the video was then finished, MTV and a lot of places thought it's too violent, so they wouldn't playlist
it.
Too
violent?
Yeah.
Really? Okay, interesting. Oh, that's interesting. Do you still vividly remember the moment that you heard for the first time that Madonna was loving it?
For me, it was really incredible. Yeah. And, we're literally in my like little room full of gear. And, they're saying like, oh yeah, you guys must have like an incredible studio. It sounds so professional. And we're thinking,
you're like, I have to tell you something. That's amazing, man. Well, I guess I paid a good money for this one. So definitely it's a collector's item for sure. And I remember seeing it on MTV, and it was a big influence for me as a younger guy that listened to trance music. I was like, wow, it's on MTV right now. Like, this is incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible that she wanted to use that version. Yeah. I mean, it's a ballad, the original. Maybe she felt like, because the video was really happening, she wanted to use that for that.
Amazing. And then I have the next one. This was a bit more controversial, I think. Britney Spears. Yeah. You guys remixed every time. But club mix as well.
Actually, what we did the first sort of almost maybe a year and a half, almost 2 years, I think, we were doing remixes for other people. And we realized like every time we did a remix, we put a lot of songwriting in it. And then it started to be the situation where we're thinking like, hey, why are we not making our own vocal records?
Yeah.
And I think Far From In Love was probably the first one we did. And then we were also working with Justine very, very early on.
Yeah, well, Far From Love, I left it in there. I have it as well. I brought it as well. Because that's what I wanted to say. Because the first steps of your career as Above and Beyond was basically just doing remixes. And then tell us about the moment that you were sitting down for the first time with a vocalist, actually, without remixing, that you actually sat down for originals. How did that go about?
We were obviously in this kind of situation where we were like trying to be super cool and everything. And then it was almost a little bit awkward, the feeling initially, like, what if we do vocals? They have to be really, really good vocals. But luckily, Tony had this incredible amount of experience, because he'd been in a band, he'd been writing songs for a long time. So straight on, like, Tony's sort of songwriting talent was evident. And when we were working with Kate with the Far From Love,
2002.
I'm really happy with the song and I still feel like it could easily be remixed and brought back because the song is strong.
I think so. That's still one of my favorites as well. And even though it's 21 years old right now, I shouldn't say that too fast, I guess. 21 years old.
Don't tell anyone.
Yeah, I'm not going to tell anyone. Of course, and then pretty much the first kind of singles came about. And then your link with A State of Trance came along as well, because you guys scored Tune of the Year 3 years in a row. 2004, 2005, 2006. With No One on Earth, Air for Life, and Good For Me.
Wow.
Those were 3 years in a row. So that was a decent time, which rang in the Tri-State era. What do you remember about getting into that era with Tri-State? That was a new, I guess, a new chapter in your career.
Well, up until that point, we'd obviously been making club records and only club records. And when we started to do Tri-State, I think it automatically gave us a little bit more license to also experiment with styles and make deeper things, maybe things without drums. And we were really big fans of, albums that you could, really listen to from start to finish. So we spent a lot of time and thinking in, what would actually make a good album and a nice listening experience. And, I haven't actually listened to it for a really long time, but it might be a really fun
I have because on Junobeats released I think it was the vinyl, the reprint of the vinyl 3 years ago, I think, something like that. So I had to order it straight away, and I still have it sealed because I don't know, it's just something special. That album is just something else. After that, you also started the whole Ocean Lab thing as well, like Sirens of the Sea. The album came along, of course, with Justine Suissa. Why did you decide to start a whole new alias with Justine instead of just going as Above and Beyond featuring Justine Suissa?
Well, around this time, people were making exclusive record deals with different labels.
Yeah.
So we were having a lot of different aliases, so we could sign them to different places.
There's the business mind coming in there.
And actually, Michael Piron did the deal for the first Ocean Lab thing. So that's really why it was separate. But it was also because we started working with Justine. We sort of felt like, she's
a perfect connection.
And we really wanted to do a lot of stuff with her. So maybe we'll do a separate project for it.
And that's something that was very successful, of course, with Satellite, and the whole list just goes on. Miracles. Following there, it was quite pivotal moment in 2010 when you guys went into group therapy. I remember that very, very vividly still, because you guys were doing the 138 stuff, like the uplifting stuff, and suddenly group therapy came about, which was a total switch, 180-degree switch, I guess.
Yeah, we felt that making music is actually a therapeutic thing. So many of our songs are really talking about, high points in life, low points in life, and the music's always been very connected with our own lives, and we've been trying to root it in real life.
Yeah,
and maybe it's also because a lot of DJs at the time were on the road all the time, because we've been sending 2 people. So at least we had maybe.
That's why you switched from 3 to 2.
Well, we actually we realized 3 people was just simply too many people in a DJ booth if we're playing back to back, and then it also meant that one of us could always be back in the studio or at home, so we'd have a better connection to real life. And at that time, we were also experimenting with slower tempo, slower grooves, and things like that. So really, group therapy was the moment where we really switched around.
You balance things. You just sat down with the 3 of you, and I guess with the guys from Junobeats as well. And we're like, okay, this is a new chapter. I think the kickoff, I still remember this as well, is that DJ Mag was still a massive thing. You guys launched the DJ Mag video with Filmic underneath, right?
I can't even remember.
Yeah. Or Life Was Made of Small Moments Like This was also one of the scenic things underneath the DJ Mag videos. It was absolutely beautiful. I remember that very, very well. Well, you did the group therapy album, of course. Sun and Moon, thing called Love was all on there. Every single track on there was basically a hit, with Prelude as well, of course. And then in 2000, I'm really jumping through this because we have unlimited, well, we have limited but unlimited time. Because in 2014, you guys did another massive thing, acoustic. like you guys became a band, let's say.
Yeah, that was Tony's real clever thinking as well, because he was always thinking that we're more of a band than DJs. We all play instruments and things like that, and he felt like maybe people don't really even quite understand this. And one of Tony's really good friends, he brought in, is called Bob Bradley, and Bob had always been an incredible producer, and he'd already remixed a couple of our tracks in the acoustic style.
Yeah.
And I guess that's where the whole idea came from. Like, hey, what if we actually did like a MTV Unplugged version of the Above and Beyond songs?
What did you think when they were saying that for the first time, when they were proposing it?
I thought, hey, this sounds exciting.
Okay.
But I didn't realize what it actually meant. It's such a big task to like actually get good enough to play as a band. But it was a really, really exciting time.
Yeah, because you have to find like other members to join you on tour as well. You have to make sure that all the singers are there, or that must have been a very massive project.
Yeah, and
did you ever regret doing it?
Well, I guess, I did eventually burn out, so it might be something to do with it.
Was that one of the reasons that you guys were just pushing things a little bit too hard?
Well, when we were doing like the second acoustic tour, and we were actually playing a lot of, like when we were doing the Hollywood Bowl and things like that, I was building a house in Finland at the same time.
House, yeah.
And my then marriage wasn't going too well, so all of that stuff just sort of crashed me.
Yes, too much on your plate.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that in just a little bit, because there's another link in there for the near future. Well, we're going to discuss this, because We're All We Need was released in 2015, was basically group therapy continued, I would say.
Yeah.
Just continue with the same thing that you were doing, also with Common Ground, I would say. And then, because I loved seeing this one, was an album called Flow State.
Yeah,
I'm going really fast through your Discord because there's so much happening. Tell us about it's basically a meditation album, Flow State. Tell us about how did it come about?
Yeah, it's funny, like trying to describe it. I guess what really happened was I had burnout, went through therapy, separated the mom of my kids, and found myself feeling really lonely and feeling abandoned and really like felt like everything in my life is not really working out. And I actually turned to like music to give myself the feeling of comfort and safety, and sort of try and make me feel less alone, I guess, with the music. So I found myself just writing this kind of ambient stuff, and then maybe a year later, I took it to the guys saying like, "Hey, I've done all this stuff. What are we gonna do?" And they're like, "Hey, let's just put it out as an Above and Beyond album." And because we have those old tracks, like Small Moments and Sun in Your Eyes and stuff like that, those can also be on the album. And that's how the Flow State project then came out. And it's kind of been incredible that when it came out, it was just maybe a year before COVID and all that happened as well. And I've spoken to a lot of people who were literally going through the same difficulties that I was, feeling
because
loneliness. And,
I bet that you were struggling with that
things.
for a long time, and it must have been hard to say that to a lot of people as well, because a lot of people live in that situation that you were in, and they just don't dare to say it to other people. And I think it's like super strong that you came out with this, and I think it's it means the world to a lot of people, and to make them realize, hey, this is Paavo, this superstar DJ producer that has won so many awards, #1 hits. I don't know the whole shebang, but you can feel that way as well.
Everybody's a human being, and I think I was always really inspired seeing how like Tony and Justin and Zoe were writing about real things. We were literally, Love Is Not Enough, for example. We're writing with Zoe when she's going through, a big breakup, and a lot of our songs are like breakup songs and things like that. And I always felt like it's actually pretty awesome that they have the guts to really go out there in the public and actually write songs about what they've gone through.
Yeah, because they make themselves very vulnerable.
Yeah, but in a way, I've spoken to a lot of other DJs who have had difficulties sometimes, and it's totally normal. And I guess if we didn't really go through some dark times, we wouldn't know when it's really good either.
That's true, but I guess that's also the thing of social media nowadays, that everything has to be sunshine and flowers and sunshine, nice weather. That's what it is, right? But in the meantime, there's a whole, we see a lot of dark things also in our industry, and I think it's very good that it's being addressed right now, at least, and that you hand over a tool as well for people to just use music as a therapy, I guess.
Yeah.
That was the reason
of
yeah. There we go. The circle is complete. The podcast comes to an end. No, I think it's fantastic. And tell us also about the relationship that you have with Flow State and as well with Elena Brouwer.
Well, actually, we were at Burning Man. I think it was 2004 or 2006, and I was asked to DJ for a yoga session.
Okay.
And I thought, hey, I was really into all this ambient stuff, so why not do this?
Yeah.
And there was this yogi called Elena, and that was an incredible session. And they'd recorded that set and put it on SoundCloud. And after Burning Man, people just kept like telling us both, like, "Oh, that was incredible! That was incredible!" And
you're like, "Yeah, whatever."
and so that's how I really like became eventually ends with Elena, friends with and then we did a couple of shows together, and then when I started having this Flow State album, what I was also doing was I was listening to some really cool inspirational TED Talks whilst I was working on the Flow State album, and felt like actually adding dialogue to it really like made sense of the music, and the music made sense and supported the talk.
Yeah.
So then I got talking with Elena about like maybe we should do voiceover versions because she's an incredible writer.
Yeah.
I love her voice. And so we did spoken word versions of the Flow State tracks as well.
Incredible. And a gold record in the United States.
I couldn't believe that.
It's like a project that you wrote for yourself as a therapy session, that you were like, "Hey, guys, I just wrote this on the side." And then it became a gold record.
Well, that's obviously, the Above and Beyond brand is strong, and we were really lucky with the timing. Amazon's been really helping us with everything. So it's just like the perfect storm.
It's amazing. And a lot of people, I guess, use it every single day for their yoga sessions or just to unwind or meditate or anything like that.
Yeah, and we're actually going to do 2 nights at Red Rocks in October. So we're going to be starting both days with Elena doing like a Flow State session. And then we obviously play our like main A and B set at the end of the night. But I've always found that when we do and we start with that yoga, it somehow changes the energy of the whole night. And we've always had like really good gigs
because
we start
people
like
are already like connected to each other, and then just the A and B set just tops it off, I guess.
So that's good. I'm really looking forward to
it. Is that something that you consider doing more and more and more? Because you guys are doing more on Juno Beats weekends all around the world, just to bring this whole package, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and it feels like the kind of wellness and looking after oneself so that you can have even more fun partying. It's like a very Angina thing for us. So it feels like a natural, great thing to do more with Elena. And I'm obviously working on new Flow State stuff at the moment. It's coming from a slightly different place, I guess.
Yeah, from a boat.
Yeah, but I've actually like healed in nature. And then now I go to big cities and I'm like, I want that same peace. So I've found myself like writing this real chill music in busy, like stressed out cities. So
was it scary at first to start that whole concept that you were like, dance music lovers, they're not waiting for this to see this on the stage? Was it scary, or was it just something natural that happened?
Well, it was really difficult for me because I was literally like feeling like maybe me and dance music is done.
Yeah.
And I didn't really know what to do. So it was a really difficult, painful time around the first one. But things are slightly different now.
Okay. All right. Let's dive into the reason why you were here as well, because I'm gonna flash another vinyl because I'm very proud of my vinyl collection. Because everybody knows you've Above Me on, of course, but I'm gonna take out this one. P.O.S. project, Remember and
cool.
Amnesiac. So tell us about how this came to life, this one.
Well, that one was actually, I'd bought a new laptop and computers were sort of starting to get to the point where you could maybe make music with just the computer.
Yeah.
And up until that point, we was using a lot of analog synthesizers.
Yeah, drum computer synthesizer,
and everything. So being a true nerd, it was almost like a challenge to see like, hey, is this possible? And so I did the Remember like that. It literally came together like in an afternoon. And I took it to the guys saying like, hey,
I made this on a computer.
You can make it on a computer. and they said, yeah, well, maybe you should just put it out as P.O.S. And then I did Amnesiac also on just the laptop.
Yeah.
And,
that must have been also a pivotal moment, I guess, that you go from a full-on studio that you have to fight for a spot maybe, or maybe, maybe Jono is playing something and you're like, hey, I don't want to be part of this, so I want to do something on my laptop, which was massive probably back then.
But actually, like in the last 2 years, now that I've like gone back into clubbing, and I feel like I've almost started from ground zero, like falling in love with clubbing, then feeling inspired, and then now I'm literally traveling with the Nomad studio, so everything's done on a computer.
That's
like
insane.
The same. So somehow, like the P.O.S. project's been getting its inspiration from, nerding out with computers.
It's the same roots, I guess, but it's just a reset.
Yeah.
Because after a long, like you stopped making P.O.S. music, maybe after like a few releases like these and with Alto as well. You said it already as well, like you were burning out at a certain point, I guess with Above Beyond, with the acoustic and the whole pressure of being just on the road 24/7. And then you had a burnout.
Yeah.
And then everything just falls down. There you go.
Yeah.
And how long did it take you to get out of that dark hole and to fall in love with music again? Because that's what happened when you restarted P.O.S.
Yeah, and I was literally like listening to a lot of rap. I really liked a lot of Mac Miller, for example.
Yeah.
I was listening to a lot of rock music. Really looked really broad. But then, it was about 3 years, I guess. And then when I was able to really go clubbing again after like things started opening up, the whole thing and the love for the culture, the love for the feeling, the love for the energy, the love for dancing, it all came back.
That's amazing, to be honest. Well, let me guess something. You say if I'm right or wrong. How much did Spencer Brown have to do with you falling in love with that music again?
Well, he's really, really supported me.
Yeah.
And Spencer's, not only an incredible talent, but he's a really intelligent thinker and a great friend.
Yeah.
And when I was going through all this, he was sort of saying like, it's okay. It's, just allow it to
okay.
be.
Yeah.
And actually, some of the first things that I did with Spencer. I remember like we started this track A Long Way From Home with him, for example.
One of my all-time favorites.
And that was just a moment we were both feeling really lost in Australia. Things weren't really not going too well.
Yeah.
And so we just did that track.
I think that's one of the tracks that I resonate the most with being on tour. Like you would listen to that and also just the groove that's in there, and then the vocals just hit something. It's amazing. You can feel a lot of pain in that song as well, I guess.
Yeah, we were both a bit lost, I guess.
Yeah.
And then after my like burnout and that period when I was going through the separation and everything, Spencer was really there, like holding my hand through that, and we were like on a bus tour together and things like that. So we really, really became good friends at a very pivotal time in my life.
Awesome. Well, big shout out to Spencer. You're absolutely a legend, man. And we get into the Corona period, I guess the COVID period. I remember watching a lot of his streams, just to watch him make music. And also, what I also remember is watching some of your streams. Just
my
sitting
piano
on a
things.
piano.
That was actually really
That's
fun.
moments I'll never forget, to be honest.
Yeah. Because I'm obviously a huge lover of pianos, and I've learned how to tune them. And I love the sort of technology of a piano, I also loved the sound. And I started playing piano when I was 4.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually really incredible when you hear different people playing the same piano, how different it can sound.
Yeah.
And so I've been really just almost enjoying the sound of it and not worrying about what comes out. And I actually really enjoy that as a process.
I remember just sitting there behind my computer, and this was like in the darkest days of Corona. You just were very sick before that. I still remember that you had a hard time even communicating or talking or just moving too much. And you were just sitting there, and people from all around the world were just watching you play piano. That's it.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. It was very, very special.
Maybe I'll have to do that one.
You have to do it more
again,
often, please. But I know time is short, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's move on to happier times because Deeper Tales came about. Okay, let's tell us about the whole process in the last few years where you created Deeper Tales.
Well, I guess like some of the earliest people I went to see was like Patrice Baumel, for example.
Mm-hmm.
We saw him, Floyd, in Miami. I saw Boris Brecha at Space in Miami.
On a dance floor.
Yeah. And like DJ Tennis and Dixon and people like that. And actually I thought like, well, let me just try and make something. And the music that I was making was coming out a lot deeper than what I could imagine us playing like at the EDC main stage as A and B. And initially it was like, okay, we have a problem here.
Guys.
But then actually having done a couple, I started to think, hey, maybe I need to allow myself this time to really experiment, like go and find the joy in doing something, like making dance music.
Without the pressure of being able to play it on the main stages everywhere.
Yeah, and like really totally forget where it's supposed to like fit in the world.
Yeah.
And, I did the track like My Mind Is Fucked that I played in.
Yeah.
That was after a night seeing Boris Brecha. And I was really inspired to do like something really different. And I've been playing that out and it goes off. So it's like kind of cool to experiment with something that is so like not necessarily what I've done before.
Yeah. And suddenly it still works on dance floors also.
Yeah. And I've been really trying to find things that make me dance because I think that's been a big thing for me, actually dancing to dance music.
Yeah.
It's a rare thing these days, you know?
It is because people are just standing and there comes the drop, jump, and stand.
Well, obviously it depends on the types of music and situations as well. I found like when I did the P.O.S. tour and going to nightclubs, people are really dancing. But when sometimes you're on like really big festivals, people are literally filming.
I guess it's a different experience of how you consume dance music in general, I guess. So Deeper Tales, it's here. Now that was, I guess, a sort of experiment. Let's see what happens if I just sit down and make whatever comes into my mind. What is the future for P.O.S?
Well, obviously Deeper Tales came out and our plan is now to release these club EPs. So I have like literally DJ Tool type club tracks that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a vinyl coming out later this year. I also went to a mountaintop in Patagonia in Argentina and filmed like a 2-hour Deeper Tales set.
No way, nice. Okay.
And we're just trying to finish the video so we can put it online as well. So that'll give people like a taste of like what it was like on the P.O.S. shows on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously I was playing tracks from the album, but also all the time like new things that I'm working on. And that's been the fun thing. Like even for this one, there were already like, a track called Pacific Tide. There is literally written 3 weeks ago in Astoria in Oregon. And, I love that idea that I can just do things really quickly while still like, having these tracks that are starting to really connect like good people, for example.
Is also every single track on Deeper Tale because you said you wrote most of the parts on a boat because that's what you consider your home right now. Is every single track basically a different story or a timestamp for yourself? I was there at that moment, there at the moment, and there at the moment.
Yeah, and obviously
like a postcard.
Like I might like start something like Let You Go was written in Cozumel in Mexico, where me and Joanna were scuba diving. So it was literally written in an afternoon after like literally diving. But I then kept working on it for a couple of months. So these tracks get worked in like different places.
So you take a sketch and then you write it down and then you work on it later on.
Yeah, and sometimes I might like have an idea and a feeling or whatever. I'll do like a little bounce.
Yeah.
And then I'll just wait for the moment that I listen to it maybe 6 months later and it's like, this has something. I want to finish it now.
Yeah.
So my like file names are all like different places.
I've seen that. I was trying to ride along with the track list. Impossible. But also because that's what you're saying right now, because I was looking at your Instagram and preparing for all of this. When you created Deeper Tales, there was also 25 tracks that didn't make it.
Yeah.
Is that something that you just throw in the garbage, or is it something that you're going to take along in the future, or you don't know yet?
Well, I haven't really decided. I think it's really important not to release everything.
Yeah. Keep things for your sets.
Yeah. And obviously our Anjuna team has been really helping me to like look at it. Maybe I'm too close to some of it. I don't know what's good. And of course, I'm always most excited about the thing I've just done.
Yeah.
So
and then 2 weeks later, you're like, eh.
Yeah, I've done another one. That's not good anymore.
I know how it feels. So you let other people decide, like the A&Rs at Anjuna, you let them basically decide which tracks you're going to put out or not?
Yeah, they've been really helping me with that. And obviously I'm doing tracks much faster than we can release them.
Yeah.
So it's a nice,
they probably don't like that.
Luxurious problem.
Yeah. They're like, oh, you did another one? Oh, no. We don't have space in the schedule anymore. So the EP is coming, sets coming from a beautiful location. So far, the only shows as P.O.S. you did in the United States, except for explorations, of course. Is there anything else coming in the future as well, where you're going to play these kind of sets?
Well, Burning Man is obviously a really big thing. I played there for like a sunrise with Spencer at our friend's art car called Disco last year, and also did an Above and Beyond set for Opulent Temple, which was incredible. So I'm like super excited to go back to Burning Man, and Robot Heart, where I met Elena.
Yeah,
have become good friends of mine. So now they've invited me to do like a Tuesday morning at Robot Heart. So that's going to be a really exciting thing to be able to go back to Robot Heart, and do that with them. I'm super excited about that. And at Burn, I'm also doing, like a Tuesday night, like a really, really small little bar kind of set at Opulent Chill, which is our camp over there. And then Thursday, I'm good friends with the guys from the Sheep Bar Camp.
The bar.
It's gonna be fun. So I'm doing that on Thursday as P.O.S. and then finishing off Friday night at Sonic Soul Tribe as Above and Beyond. I'm playing with Vintage Culture and Gabriel and Tristan, so it's gonna be a really cool
You're creating
night.
some real FOMO here, man. I'm like, okay,
join in.
Let's pack. Okay, let's go.
You can still make it.
I wish. When is it gonna be? That's gonna be in August somewhere?
Yeah, it's the last week of August.
Okay. Unfortunately, I cannot be there. I'm going to be in Japan. It's not bad either, I think. So a lot of things coming up. We didn't talk about the Gorge yet, but that's something also that everyone should put on the bucket list. We spoke about that in the episode of State of Trance. So let's dive into some of the questions that were submitted.
Cool.
Because I don't think I've ever seen a list this long that was submitted through the fans through Instagram. So let's start at the very, very beginning. Let's pick a good one. What is your favorite venue that was submitted by Miss K-Bay? Because you already mentioned Burning Man, Gorge.
Well, my favorite venue has to be the Gorge. I've had personally such good times there, but it's like, I just think that even if when I just go there, it almost feels like, well, even if the show didn't happen, it was already worth it. It's such a beautiful place.
It's worth the view alone.
Yeah.
So that's one of I can understand that one. Jay Trankbase wants to know, when will Good People be released?
These are really good questions.
Yes.
Good People was obviously on Deeper Tales.
Yeah.
But we have to ask the Anjuna Beats crew those kinds of questions, because me and Dates.
Mar Wenable wants to know what can I do to get a mentorship from Pavo?
Well, this is actually kind of nice. Like we've obviously thought like we want to give back and help, especially our Anjuna artists. So maybe like if they make some music that ends up coming out on Anjuna Beats, we can obviously help them through the A&R process. So keep it coming.
Yeah, because I think that a lot of people don't know this, but I've experienced this in firsthand, because I did a remix for you guys, and it's not like you just send a tune to Anjuna Beats and they will sign it straight away. You guys listen to everything and you come with like very good notes as well, if anything needs to be adjusted.
Yeah, I've just been working with Alex Sonata and the Rio. They remixed my track "Coming Home," and I actually think that it's really helpful, because we're all musicians ourselves, and sometimes we are too close to things, and having an external pair of ears and experience on board can just lead to a better result.
Yeah.
And I think we've always been about like just elevating the quality of music.
So, and who decides what between the guys? Like, let's say I would send a track to you. You would like it, Tony would like it, and Jono would say, I hate this. What will happen?
Well, I guess it depends on the situations and all these kinds of things. Like, is it part of something? Is it an artist that's already there? So it's more like a case-by-case situation. We're actually just having a chat with the guys this afternoon just to see like where we are with all this.
Okay. Very political answer.
Yeah.
The World's Menace wants to know what P.O.S. show has impacted you the most in your recent tour.
Well, the Santa Fe show was really incredible, because he was at the Meow Wolf in Santa Fe, which is the original Meow Wolf. And I don't know if you know Meow Wolf, but it's like an art space that looks like you've entered another dimension.
Yeah.
And yeah, we almost missed the show. We had like an absolute nightmare travel day, and rocked up there. And Elena lives in Santa Fe, so Elena Brouwer was there with her husband, and the atmosphere was incredible,
magical.
Yeah, it's like hard to really describe like what made it so great, but really having played a lot of nightclubs, having really, really good time, and going there, the place had some weird energy.
I guess the people make the energy, right? So
yeah,
and
maybe the place too. I don't know.
Yeah, well, and the
Fe
DJ as well.
Kind of like a home of very spiritual people as well.
The World Menace had another question as well, which I find very interesting. What aspect of nature would you say has helped the most while creating music?
I think the thing about nature is that it's inherently like a healing thing. I think we are part of nature.
Yeah.
And I've found it really helpful for myself, just feeling that connection. And I obviously, as a little baby in Finland, babies sleep outside. So I've been literally growing up hearing the sound of the wind in the trees and things like that.
Yeah.
And then now when I really needed the healing,
You go
I've been
outside,
there listening to
the
this
nature.
again.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the sound is one of the main things, but ultimately it's the feeling of connection.
That's amazing. Over Nunder wants to know, do you still have your Leica camera?
I do, but I've become so lazy because the mobile phone
You always
camera,
used to bring them with you, right?
Yeah, but that's when the mobile cameras kind of didn't used to be that good. But right now, there's still something amazing because the lenses are insanely good. But I'm just maybe a bit lazy.
Okay. When can we expect another album from Above Beyond? The question by Chris Jets.
Well, we're working on quite a lot of new stuff. So we have obviously a little bit more of the Tranquility EP series coming out.
Yeah.
But we have more coming out.
Okay.
And
which are basically the instrumental club tracks.
Yeah. And then we've just done a collab with Seven Lions and Opposite Other.
Okay.
It's kind of like the follow-up to our See the End. It's called Over Now. And that's been going down great at the set. So I'm really happy for that to come out. And we don't have like a date for the next Above and Beyond album, but a lot of work is happening.
So first, P.O.S. came out, Tranquility Base EP, and I guess another thing on the timeline is going to be the next ABGT show.
Yeah, we're doing that next year. We haven't officially like confirmed the city for it yet, but
Because LA looked fantastic last year.
That was incredible. Like, what a venue, Bank of California Stadium.
Yeah.
Like, I never really thought we could even do something like that.
Yeah, we were there with A State of Trance just a few months before that.
Yeah. Cool.
I had the same feeling, like, wow.
Yeah.
Can we do all of this? Yeah, that was amazing. Let's say, oh yeah, okay. Is there a possibility of an Armin van Buuren remix of P.O.S. Remember? That's a good idea. We have to ask Armin that. Let's see. What kind of music do you like to listen to? There's a question by P.A. Ibiza Guz.
I try to listen to a lot of different kinds of things. Like this week, my favorite is Carl Cox. I've been really liking his like techno sets.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
All right. Good People is my tune of the year. What motivated and inspired the lyrics for this song? PLR 108.
Well, that track actually came about because the Anama guys had a vocal. And I was still like not quite sure about like what do I want to do and everything. And we were in Finland in my studio.
Yeah, because they came over to your studio.
Yeah, we're really good friends. So they've been hanging out with me in Finland. So Marcus played this vocal and said like, "Hey, Paavo, write like some Paavo chords or something for this."
I hear him saying that.
And yeah, so that's kind of how it came about. And also one of my best friends, Veikka, was there as well. So it's a collab between Aname, P.O.S. and Veikka Erkola.
Okay.
And so I don't actually know what originally inspired the lyrics.
We have to ask Marcus. Yeah.
Marcus like brought this like incredible ready-made thing.
Yeah, he has a good ear for good songs, Marcus. Definitely.
He really does.
Let's do the last one. What inspired you to make Let You Go? Let him elaborate in full. It's my favorite tune of 2023. Bali GH77.
Originally it was an instrumental, and this one was written in Cozumel in Mexico. And my mom's been very ill with Alzheimer's.
Mm-hmm.
And, when I was writing the song, it was somehow like triggering, feelings in me, like real, like
it makes you think
of
of it,
like
yeah.
losing someone really, really dear.
Yeah.
And then I found that vocal and I thought, okay, no, it even says it.
Yeah.
This is like
letting you go.
This is absolutely meant to be. And yeah, for me, it was really about the pain of losing someone you love makes it almost realize how much you love someone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And maybe love gets its power from the pain of losing it.
Wow, that's very deep, but very true.
Yeah. Deep details, right?
Deep details. Well, I think what I take the most out of talking to you and being in your presence for the last 2 hours, I guess, is that music is really a therapy. Like you can use music as a therapy and just make you feel better, or it's okay to feel shitty, and you can use music to heal yourself.
Yeah, and I think
I want to thank you for that. Yeah.
I'm just like grateful that I have the capability to make music and do that. But I know also from a lot of other musicians and artists that a lot of great art does come actually from, struggle.
True. Yeah. The darkest times make the best music.
Maybe. I don't want to think like that. That's not good.
Well, sometimes it is, and sometimes it is. Paavo, I want to thank you so much for being here, answering all these questions, and telling a little bit more about yourself, your story, your journey. And I hope to see you back again very soon here in the studio, otherwise on the dance floor somewhere. Yeah.
Well, thank you, and thanks Armin as well for inviting me.
Yeah. Well, that's it for this podcast. Thank you once again, Paavo. If you want to see more podcasts, check out YouTube, of course, or Spotify. We upload everything over there. Next time, we're going to be back with a new podcast. Then in the studio here, Space Motion. See you then. Bye-bye.
Thank you for tuning in. Check all previous episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast portal. A State of Trance podcast.